All right, today we're diving into a really powerful and I think incredibly relevant message from an ancient prophet named Habakkuk. We're going to explore what it really means to have faith when the world just feels broken and unjust.
Have you ever just looked around at everything going on and just asked God, why? Why is this happening? Why do the bad guys seem to win all the time? If you've ever felt that way, well, you are in really good company. You're asking the very same questions a prophet named Habakkuk asked thousands of years ago. His entire book isn't a message to people. It's this raw, honest protest aimed directly at God. So to really get where Habakkuk is coming from, we have to understand the world he was living in. Because this wasn't just some abstract theological debate for him, it was a full-blown national crisis.
Okay, so picture this. It's the late 7th century BC. Habakkuk looks at his own nation, Judah, and it is a mess. We're talking rampant injustice, corruption, you name it. And at the exact same time, this terrifying, brutal empire, the Babylonians, is on the rise, just swallowing up nation after nation. And through all this chaos, God seems to be completely silent. It's in this darkness that Habakkuk finally just has to cry out.
He doesn't just complain, he basically lodges two formal complaints with God. The first one is, hey, why are you letting your own people get away with all this evil? And when God answers, saying he's going to use Babylon to judge them, Habakkuk asks his second question, which is even bigger. Wait a minute, how can you, a pure and holy God, use a nation that's even more wicked than us to carry out your justice? That makes absolutely no sense.
Now, what Habakkuk does next is, I think, just fascinating. Instead of just giving up or storming off in anger, he intentionally takes this posture of waiting for God's answer.
He says he's going to go stand at his watch, station himself on the ramparts. He's literally picturing himself as a soldier on the city wall, looking out, expecting a response. This is not passive resignation. This is an active, deliberate choice to make space to hear from God.
And the Hebrew language here is so rich. The word he uses for stand is amad. And it doesn't just mean to be on your feet. It means to hold your ground, to stand firm, to maintain your post. It has this sense of resolute determination. He's basically saying, I am not moving from this spot until I get an answer.
And then the word for watch, safa, is just as active. It implies leaning forward, peering into the distance, observing with intense focus. So he's not just passively waiting around. He is actively searching the horizon for God's reply. It's such a powerful model for us when we're confused to wait with determination and active expectation.
So after Habakkuk plants himself on that wall, God responds. And he doesn't respond with a quick fix, but with a timeless principle and some very specific instructions.
God tells him, okay, write this vision down, and don't just scribble it on a napkin. Carve it into stone tablets and make it so plain that a messenger can read it while running past. This message was meant to be public, it was urgent, and it had to be crystal clear. And then comes the really hard part. Wait for it. And this just perfectly illustrates that tension between our timing and God's timing, right? God's answer has an appointed time. The original Hebrew even suggests that the vision is rushing. It's panting as it runs toward its fulfillment. So even though to us it feels slow or delayed, from God's perspective, it's right on schedule and it will not be a second late.
So what was this incredibly urgent vision? What was the big message that had to be carved in stone? Will it all boil down to a single sentence that contrasts two totally different ways to live in a broken world?
This is it. This verse is the heart of the entire book. And honestly, it's one of the most important verses in the entire Bible. God lays out two paths, personified by the proud, self-reliant Babylonian on one side and the righteous person who trusts God on the other.
Okay, let's break this down. The proud, their soul is puffed up. It's like a balloon just swollen with self-importance. They rely on themselves, so their foundation is crooked, it's unstable. But the righteous, they live by umuna. That's a Hebrew word that means so much more than just mental belief. It means steadfastness, loyalty, a deep, unwavering trust. They survive. They find true life, not by their own strength, but by anchoring themselves to the very character of God.
And this one line, the righteous will live by faith, it just explodes out of this tiny Old Testament book and becomes a cornerstone of Christian theology. In fact, it's quoted 3 different times in the New Testament to get to the very heart of the gospel.
First, the Apostle Paul grabs it in his letter to the Romans, and he uses it to make his central argument. Being right with God doesn't come from our own hard work or our own efforts. It's a gift, and it's received through faith, from the very beginning to the very end.
Then he uses it again in Galatians. This time, he's arguing against people who were trying to say that faith in Jesus isn't quite enough, that you also have to follow a bunch of religious laws to be truly saved. Paul's point is clear. No one is made right by following the law. The only path to real life is through faith.
And finally, the book of Hebrews quotes this verse to encourage believers who are really suffering. And here, the focus shifts a bit to endurance. Living by faith isn't just a one-time decision. It's a lifelong posture of perseverance, of not shrinking back when life gets incredibly hard.
So here's the crucial takeaway from all of this. Living by faith is not about having some warm, fuzzy feeling that everything's going to be okay. It's a conscious, active decision. It is choosing to stake your entire life on the character and the promises of God, even when, and maybe especially when, your circumstances are screaming the exact opposite.
And this brings us full circle right back to Habakkuk himself. After he hears God's answer, his journey is transformed from this painful protest into this profound praise. He ends his book with this incredible declaration. He says, even if the entire economy collapses, even if the fig trees and the vines are barren, even if the livestock are gone, even if everything I depend on for survival is stripped away, I will make a choice, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. That, right there, is what it means to live by faith.